Aaron Rodgers hasn't won a playoff game since 2021, and the Steelers haven't accomplished that same feat since the 2016 season. Now the two married together hope to end that drought with Mike Tomlin at the helm, who still has never had a losing season in his 18 years as the head coach in Pittsburgh. RC was at Steelers camp recently and had this big takeaway. I can confirm it. Aaron Rodgers can still really throw the football. It's crazy in person. 2010, 2011 Super Bowl flashbacks. Stephen A., are you, your face, I don't even want to ask the question. Just go ahead.
So let me get this straight, Dio. Ryan Clark is one of the best football analysts in America. This man knows football backwards and forwards, a Super Bowl champion. He is an analyst we are and should be very, very proud to have in our stable. And he's been talking football every damn day for years. He's been watching Aaron Rodgers every damn day for years. And suddenly he goes to Pittsburgh. And it's a face, he's there in person, and suddenly an epiphany hits him. You understand? An epiphany hits him. Yes, he's on Monday Night Football. He's on NFL Live. He's on Get Up. He's on First Take. He's got his own show to pivot. He's talking about football all the time. And suddenly, when you saw Aaron Rodgers in person, now we've reached the conclusion he can throw. He can really, really throw. Ryan Clark's got some explaining to do. He's got some explaining to do. I don't understand that at all, okay? So let's get that out the way first. Secondly, again, it's the preseason. I'm rooting for that bad man that is Aaron Rodgers. But we all know his most successful years was when he's had, big-time route runners running the football with him. His hard count is obviously something to be rivaled. We know what he can do to defenses. But DK Metcalf is not that dude, Dan. You know that. I mean, the brother is a bull. In the red zone, listen, he's spectacular. I'm not saying he can't run routes. Please don't get me wrong. I'm saying he's a stud. But he's a stud because of his size, his athleticism. You throw the ball up there, he'll go get it. That kind of thing, as opposed to it being, timing specific per se. I'm worried about that with Aaron Rodgers and him to see what kind of chemistry we get from that. It remains to be seen, but I believe in Rodgers. I believe in these Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe they'll make some noise. It's just that I was thrown off because Ryan Clark suddenly speaks glowingly about his ability to throw the football after seeing him in person. I didn't know Ryan Clark needed that to know. That's my concern. That's just me.
Okay, so I'm glad you clarified the DK thing because I thought we were going to go on an off-the-rails conversation.
No.
I'll answer the question. What version of Rodgers do I expect? I think it's fair to say Aaron Rodgers should eclipse 30 touchdowns and 4,000 yards this year. Anybody that said he was awful last year,
I like that,
just wasn't really watching. They were just maybe looking at stat lines, especially later on in the season when he started to play better football. This is last year when everyone said he was the worst player ever in the history of the world type of stuff. His last two seasons, they aren't the MVP caliber seasons, but they've been good seasons. I would tell you, I think there's a couple things that probably are out of his control that matter, Stephen A. How good the offensive line plays, a big conversation. Him and Arthur Smith. I'd also tell you, DK's awesome. Pat Freiermuth, really good. Another receiver will have to go ahead and step forward. Is it Calvin Austin? Is it Roman Wilson? For him to kind of, like everyone's sitting there going, playoffs and, Super Bowl contender. I'm not there. I'm not remotely close to being there with this football team. I think Aaron plays good football. But for them to, legitimately have playoff chances, that other receiver is going to have to step forward. That's the big question mark, or one of the big question marks that I have.
Janu Smith being there now with Freiermuth, how do you feel about the combination, Janu Smith, how do you feel about the combination of those two there together? And how do you feel about the fact that Jalen Ramsey is there now, but at the expense of losing Minkah Fitzpatrick?
So I like the addition of Jonnu Smith. Arthur Smith's liked Jonnu for a while since their time at Tennessee. I can see them playing with 2 tight ends on the field. I can see them playing with 3 tight ends on the field. Don't forget, Washington is in, I think, his 3rd season, the big tight end out of Georgia. So those additions are good. Those additions aren't closing the gap between them and Baltimore, them and Buffalo, them and Kansas City. I don't think them and Houston. Cincinnati's going to be able to score. So I still see them as the outside looking in. Jalen's a tremendous player. Minka's a loss. I've talked about this a week or two, and Stephen A., you'll know this as a fan. That defense doesn't show up in the playoffs. That defense in the playoffs, their last 5 rounds in the playoffs, their last 5 playoff losses, that defense gives up like 33 a game or 31 a game, something like that. So for all that we say about the quarterback position in Pittsburgh and that defense, for them to win the playoff game, which is something you've talked about that hasn't happened mind-blowing in like 8 years, that defense has got to show.
Steelers Nation, we just watched a segment that has the sports world buzzing. Not because of a hot take about who's winning the Super Bowl, but because of how people are talking about Aaron Rodgers now that he's in Pittsburgh. And you know what? I've got some thoughts. Let's break down what we just heard. Ryan Clark, a Super Bowl champion with the Steelers, a guy who has spent years analyzing football on the biggest networks in America, went to Steelers training camp, watched Aaron Rodgers throw in person, and suddenly had what Stephen A. Smith called an epiphany. According to Clark, seeing Rodgers live was a different experience. It brought back flashbacks to the Rodgers of 2010 and 2011, the guy who could make throws from any angle, hit tight windows, and make defensive backs look like they were running in slow motion. Now here's where Stephen A. jumped in, and honestly, he had a point. He couldn't wrap his head around the idea that someone like Ryan Clark, who has been breaking down film and watching Rodgers for years, would only now be this blown away by his ability to throw a football. And in typical Stephen A. fashion, he took the scenic route in pointing out that Clark should have known this all along. But let's be honest here. What Clark is describing is something every football fan can relate to. Watching Rodgers on TV is one thing. Seeing him up close, in the rhythm of a live practice, where the ball leaves his hand with ridiculous velocity and pinpoint accuracy, is something else entirely. There's a difference between knowing a guy is good and feeling it when you see it live. Now, let's talk football reality. The Rodgers we're getting isn't the same one who lifted the Lombardi Trophy over a decade ago. He hasn't won a playoff game since 2021. And we, the Steelers, haven't won one since 2016. This pairing of Rodgers and Mike Tomlin is about ending that drought. Tomlin's never had a losing season in 18 years, and Rodgers is here to prove he can still win big games. This is high-stakes football for both of them. Stephen A. raised an interesting point about Rodgers' best years. They've often come when he's had elite route runners who can separate quickly and time their breaks perfectly. Now in Pittsburgh, the receiving core looks a little different. DK Metcalf is a physical freak, a red zone nightmare, and one of the most dangerous contested catch guys in the league. But he's not the type of receiver you build a timing-based West Coast precision attack around. This means Rodgers will need to adjust, and the chemistry between him and DK will be a storyline to watch all year. And that's before we even get to the rest of the receiving room. We've got Pat Freiermuth, one of the best all-around tight ends in the AFC, but after that, the WR2 role is wide open. Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, maybe even Rock Taylor, the rookie who's been turning heads in camp. Someone is going to have to step forward. If they don't, Rodgers is going to face the same problem he had in New York and late in his Green Bay tenure. Not enough reliable targets to take pressure off his primary weapons. And then there's the elephant in the room, the offensive line. Dan Orlovsky hit the nail on the head in that segment. Rodgers' production this season will depend heavily on how well the O-line holds up. In Arthur Smith's offense, the line needs to open up the run game for Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren and give Rodgers the extra beat he needs to let those deep developing plays hit. If that protection breaks down, all the arm talent in the world won't save the offense. And let's not forget, training camp isn't all highlights. Just this past week, safety Juan Thornhill picked off Rodgers in back-to-back 2-minute drills. Now, on one hand, that's a testament to Thornhill's ball-hawking ability and the defense's readiness. On the other, it's a reminder that Rodgers is still adapting to new teammates, a new playbook, and a new pace in Pittsburgh. These are growing pains we should expect in August. So, what version of Rodgers can we expect in 2025? The realistic goal is 4,000 yards, 30-plus touchdowns, and a quarterback rating that keeps us competitive in the AFC North. We don't need MVP Rodgers every week. We need a guy who can keep the offense steady, protect the football, and deliver in high-leverage moments. The 2-minute drill before halftime, the 3rd and 8 in the fourth quarter, the overtime possession in a playoff game. Steelers Nation, this isn't about whether Rodgers still has the arm. We know he does. It's about whether all the pieces around him, the O-line, the chemistry with DK, the emergence of a WR2, and Arthur Smith's play calling can come together at the right time. If they do, this team will be in the playoff conversation deep into December. If not, we could be looking at another season where the defense does the heavy lifting while the offense sputters against elite competition. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Rodgers will be the difference maker Pittsburgh needs to finally win a playoff game again? Will the DK connection click, or is this going to be a season where the tight ends carry the passing attack? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you believe Rodgers can still be that guy, and make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire so you don't miss a single update as we head toward kickoff. Because this season isn't just about talent, it's about whether Rodgers, Tomlin, and this roster can finally turn promise into postseason results. And that's a story worth watching from start to finish.